what's happening on the southern border. I'm sure you saw the clip played many times by my colleagues of that reprehensible Congressman, Dan Goldman, making fun of a woman who lost a family member to an illegal. She responded by saying, yeah, it would be nice if the people on the border in the green uniforms were allowed to do their jobs instead of making sandwiches. Yeah, good for her. God bless you, madam. Is the tide turning with regards to this crisis? Let's talk to two gentlemen who know. Art Del Cueto, he is the Vice President of the National Council for Border Protection and also a man who knows a lot about the border.
You got to listen to this part of this segment here when Gorka reads
Good to be here. Thank you, Congress.
what the flyer is at the border.
One question that I always end up asking my buddies when they come on my radio show, Mark Morgan and the likes of Tom Homan. I think that woman was right. I think she told Goldman, you're not allowing, the Biden administration is not allowing CBP to do the job they swore to do. So here's the big question for you. How is the morale of your colleagues after 3 years of basically becoming Walmart greeters for the cartels because Biden tells them to? What's the morale like with your colleagues in CBP?
So definitely the morale's in the dumps, man. It's the lowest I've ever seen it. But what people need to understand, unfortunately, the processing is also part of the job. Where people need to understand when they're saying, hey, they're not allowed to do their job, they're not allowed to do their job to the fullest. Because processing, as I said, it's part of the job, it's part of the immigration system, that's always been around. The issue is you have a lot of agents that are having to go out there, they see these groups of individuals putting themselves in, many of them military-age men from countries of special interest that turn themselves in, they ask for asylum and they get released. While these agents are stuck pretty much looking at these groups or waiting for processing or waiting for transport and all that, you know and you can hear that there's other individuals around you that are coming through, and those are the gotaways. Yeah. So that's the frustration. And that's what people need to see, the big picture. You hear everyone say, oh, they're not doing their job. They are doing their job. They're just not doing their job to the fullest because this administration's policies prevent them from doing, going out there and catching the gotaways. But processing obviously has always been part of it.
Let's talk about this processing, Todd. Before you joined the Center for Immigration Studies and wrote those fabulous books on Biden's border regime or lack of, you worked in keeping Texas safe. You worked in immigration intelligence analysis and counterterrorism. I want to show a tweet from my friend David Rubin. He photographed this at the TSA security checkpoint recently when he was flying, and it's quite shocking because it's addressed to the illegal immigrants being processed through TSA. Let me read to you 2 lines.
Listen to this. This is the part.
At the checkpoint. This is to illegal immigrants. You may decline to have your photograph taken. CBP1, the app that is used to give them their status in America, only verifies the information you previously provided to Customs and Border Protection and will not store your information. I've got to ask the obvious question, Todd. If they're only comparing the information that the individual who came here illegally gave the authorities, then it's a circular verification, and then why would they not store the information about that illegal, Todd? How much of a threat is that?
Listen.
Well, if you, whoever your God is, pray, or if you keep your fingers crossed, because this is incredibly dangerous what they're doing. It's the ultimate stranger danger. We can't verify criminal histories on most of these people coming through, especially when they're coming from places like Venezuela.
They don't know who the hell they are.
We do not have an intelligence sharing protocol with Venezuela, or with Cuba, with Nicaragua, with Syria, or with 100 other countries of these people coming through. So in other words, you tell us your name is Mickey Mouse, we kind of say, okay, come on in. And that's what's happening. And the problem with that is, of course, that, we're having Mickey Mouse people coming in from Syria, Iraq, Mauritania, Senegal, from all over Africa, countries that are where different military factions are engaged in horrific atrocities. We have no idea whether that's them, and so forth. So gang members and
yeah. So let me just reiterate what you said, because it's the perfect analogy. The illegal says, "My name is Mickey Mouse." Then when he's getting on a plane, he says, "Yes, I'm Mickey Mouse," and they check the records when he told them he was Mickey Mouse. So a perfectly circular check. And then at the end of the day, they delete the record of his photograph, and he doesn't even have to allow them to take the photograph. No nation in the world does that. Thank you for mentioning those countries that have forces that want to attack us. We have a report on exactly that from our colleague, our correspondent, John Hull.
Dr. Gorka, U.S. fighter jets once again struck Houthi targets in Yemen. This, as the leader of the Iranian-backed group said that it, quote, welcomes a direct confrontation with the United States. Now, this latest strike by the U.S. took out anti-ship missile launchers in the coastal city of Hodeidah, that's southwest of the capital of Sana'a, this according to U.S. military officials. And it comes after the Houthis attacked yet another ship in the Red Sea on Friday. The Malta-flagged Greek-owned bulk carrier did not have any serious damage or injuries, but the Houthis' continued attacks on ships in the Red Sea have disrupted the very critical and strategic transportation routes there. President Biden said Thursday the U.S. strikes, including the attack on more than 60 Houthi targets January 12th, have not stopped the Houthis from attacking ships, and sources tell Newsmax really hasn't resulted in any major military disruption in the Houthi capabilities, at least as of now. The Biden administration put the Houthis back on the list of specially designated terror organizations earlier this week, a move intended to cut off the Houthis' funding and financing abilities. But the Houthis' leader, Abu Malik al-Houthi, called the U.S. terror designation, quote, funny, and said that the Houthis consider it a, in his words, great honor for a direct confrontation with Israel and America. Back to you.
Thank you, John Huddy. When we were in the Trump White House, we decided to actually designate them as terrorists. The Biden administration said, no, they're not terrorists. What changed 3 years later? Nothing, except now we have a crisis. All right. Next up, it's the March for Life. It's a little bit snowy.